Hey everybody, and welcome back to Anime Slushy. It's me, Cube.
And Feen.
Feen, I have a hunger, I have a need, and that need is for Mato Homus. I need to watch the shows where there's the girl with the short pink hair and the girl with the long dark hair, and they're ambiguously gay for each other, and thank God that they're delivering.
We just watched Review Starlight and everything.
Yeah, well, you know what? Review Starlight has several homeras. This show also has several homeras. It's very important. Actually, this show has a lot in common with Review Starlight because it's also a multimedia franchise that now has a gacha game.
Oh.
So we're talking about Assault Lily Bouquet Academy, which if you listen to this cast, you're legally obligated now to always shorten it to Ass Lily.
It's so amazing that the show shortens that well to a name that is perfectly descriptive.
Yeah, I remember at first, we were calling it different things like Assault Lily Bouquet or just Assault Lily or whatever. And then we were just like, wait, Ass Lily. Ass Lily.
Yeah, it's funny because this is a modern Mahu show that people had mentioned to us, and we were thinking of, well, you had watched most of it, and you were thinking of not covering it because you didn't think there was quite enough to talk about.
Yeah, at first we were watching one episode every week in our general watch parties for anime in the Discord, but then we had to stop like around episode 5 because they were just too boring. And it's funny because, we were just expecting trash, and it does seem like trash, and there is a lot of trash in these minds, but they talk a lot. They sit there and they talk, and then I sleep. But it turns out that after we dropped off, some things actually did happen, so it's very exciting.
Oh, good. Okay.
So what you need to know about Assault Lily in general is that the first thing that the franchise is really based around is a series of dolls. So here's the thing. I'm going to be talking a lot about Ruby while describing this show.
Oh, that's
it's
new.
Not my
that's
fault.
Different. That's
no,
not something that happens
understand.
every single time.
No, you're a bully. The thing is that this is more like Ruby than other things. And one aspect of that is that the dolls, they have transforming weapons. And they have that same kind of like chonky Monty Umera Ruby look. But though they're not as good as Ruby weapons because most of them, their base form is just like kind of a chonky sword. And then it will either fold up into a chonky gun or kind of fold out into a chonky longer sword, and it doesn't feel as creative, which is weird because that's like the whole point of this doll line.
That's odd, yeah. I will just mention a friend of the show, Sar, who's on the Discord, does a lot of stat collection for Anime Slushy.
Yeah.
Out of a lack of anything better to do, I guess. One of the things he collects is how long it takes per episode for us to mention Ruby. So at least we got it out of the way early this time.
Yeah. I don't want there to be any confusion. You'll see. It's going to be a fucking Ruby fest up in here. Ruby is the anime monomyth. It's not my fault. But also... So the thing about these dolls is that, so they're about the transforming weapons, and the anime girls holding them have clothes that you can like dress them up in and replace and take off, of course, is very important. But the thing is that I'm going to show you a picture of one of these dolls, and I want you to try to describe what you're seeing quality-wise.
Well, okay, so the faces are a little bit odd. The hands are very basic, but in terms of the clothes themselves, they look a little bit like Barbie clothes from the 90s, but possibly chonkier.
Yeah.
In terms of the material used, yeah.
They end up being surprisingly like top heavy, and they look kind of like feltish or something. And the thing is that these dolls are like $130.
It seems like a lot, yeah, for what you're getting.
Yeah.
My vague understanding of these was like they look this way because that's part of the appeal, and they've always looked that way.
I don't know.
Like there is some tradition with this particular line that they have this sort of chunky look to them. Because yeah, like as a person who's just never seen them before, I'm kind of like, it looks a bit cheap. But I don't know, maybe that's part of the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but like the way that the fabric and stuff looks, I don't know. Like there's accessories on some of them that's just like, this is literally just a square of felt. I don't.
Yeah, considering how incredible a lot of anime figures look, these look oddly basic.
Yeah. But they were popular enough to get, like they had some light novels and manga and shit, and now they get an anime. And it's great because it's made by Shaft, which means that Shaft is finally getting into the game of Madoka Homura, post-Madoka Magical Girl adjacent shows. And they need some of that fucking money, goddammit.
Well, look, everyone else has been benefiting from it while they've been not making the apparent sequel to Rebellion. So I guess they got to get in sometime.
Yeah, but I assume that the actual really good animation team from Shaft is still working on that Rebellion sequel that will never happen because this show doesn't look super great.
This wasn't Shaft's A-Team?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And the thing is that the writer-director, I was like, Shoji Saeki, that sounds familiar. It's the writer-director of Wish Upon a Pleiades. And I was like, no, betrayal.
Oh, well.
But I feel like it's probably also partly like that seemed like a pet project of his. And this, I assume, it's like, you got to get all these girls in. You got to show off all the different figures. You got to bring in the stupid lore that we already have. Like I assume there wasn't a whole lot of leeway.
No, but you got to pay the bills. It's fine.
Yeah, get your money, Shoji. All right, so... Episode 1 opens with the Homura is fighting a monster, and all the monsters are kind of like a lot of 3D shapes, kind of like Yuki Yuna or whatever. They're just so fucking boring looking. But there's some decent Sakuga. Enjoy it while it lasts. She's fighting it with her big chonky metal weapon. Pachu pachu. And Madoka, I mean, this girl with short pink hair that's the protagonist, she's looking on and she's like, wow, she seems so cool fighting that monster with that weapon.
Wait, hang on. Is it the Homura who's fighting the monster?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, she's watching the Homura fighting the monster, and she's looking on, and she's holding another friend of hers that will never come back that's like injured. And then Cubase says, you can stop this fate. No, just kidding. But then the OP plays, and apparently a lot of the freaking dorks were excited when they heard about this because one of the groups from Bang Dream sung the OP, like I guess as their characters from Bang Dream theoretically, because they're singing in those kinds of voices.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that works, but it sucks because the opening, like, it's sounding all dramatic, dramatic anime rock, but then they'll be like singing like da da ba 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 like the fucking anime girl coming out and be like, oh. So then it cuts to the first shot of our character, which is of course the most important angle to see her from, which is the absolute territory. You got to see those thick ass thighs.
Yeah, so this is the other thing about the show from the screenshots that I've seen.
Yeah.
Everyone has big hips and big thighs, but like tiny waists, and that's kind of the appeal of this show. That's what makes it stand out.
It's weird because the show, after the first few episodes, it doesn't really show off the weapons very much. And the dolls weren't about having those crazy thighs. So it's like, I don't think the people working on this knew what they were supposed to be selling.
I wonder if this writer was just like, you know what I regret about Pleiades? Not enough ass.
No, you can't blame the character designs on him. But also, yeah, so they have the giant thighs, and I will not accept anyone being like, hey, fucking pear-shaped people exist. Yeah, I'm pear-shaped, but the thing is they have the fucking giant thighs, and then they have the giant thigh gap between the thighs because they're not humans.
Yeah. They also have those insane tiny waists as well. Like, this isn't a human shape.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then they have like tiny stick arms, and a lot of times they have like those tiny moe hands, and it's just amazing. It's amazing anatomy. And the best shots for them are always when they have to walk directly to or away from camera, because then their legs just kind of have to move in a vaguely walking motion, but they can't cross each other. You got to maintain that thigh gap. And it just looks fucking amazing. But anyways, this is our hero. Her name is Riri, and she's excited to become a Riri. And it's a thing, because the girls that fight monsters are called lilies.
Oh, okay.
And you see they go to a special academy where they learn how to fight monsters,
I see.
for battle teams with transforming weapons.
Oh, I see.
There's nothing else this makes me think of. There's definitely nothing else that makes me think of.
See, you joked that Ruby is like the base template, but it's more than just Ruby is just a rip-off and pastiche of everything.
Yeah. So that's why everything reminds you of Ruby, because Ruby rips everything off.
No, yeah. All the most basic ideas, so like you will see these basic ideas again, and it's not because they're ripping off Ruby, it's because Ruby is a rip-off.
Yeah, but I swear, this one's more Ruby than usual. But anyways, the monsters that they fight are called the Huge, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's great. I heard that back before. I love that as a name. What the fuck?
I have no idea fucking why they landed on that.
When they say the Huge, it's not English, is it? Have they got a different name? Or is
I think it's Huge.
Right.
So it's the English word huge. So I don't know if they thought that, maybe they thought that it meant like giant. Like maybe they were looking up a thesaurus and they were like, huge, I haven't seen that. And that won't, then we don't have to confuse it with Attack on Titan. Okay, we'll use that. They're the Huge. Not realizing that's not how we use it.
That's funny.
It's great. Oh, and I will say, as much as the fucking whole thigh situation is goofy and their boobs are also very goofy and they have like this very silly boob window on their school outfits, the hair and face designs are really cute. They have like these really like cute, chunky, simplified hair designs for a lot of girls, and a lot of the randos I'll be like, oh, that's fucking cute. So character design, I'll give you that. But it doesn't forgive you for your other crimes.
But I mean, they still have the pink-haired happy one and the dark-haired sad one, right? Like,
well, yeah, you're legally obligated.
yeah, you can't just not anymore.
Yeah, come on.
I think we've talked about this before, but there's still a part of me that's sort of surprised that this has stuck around as a convention because, I mean, like, Madoka was popular, but it's been 10 years now. Is this still what people need?
Yeah, and it's funny because we were like, is this really a Madoka thing? Like, there must have been other things, but there isn't anything that's quite the same that people have been able to point to.
Yeah, it's very odd.
It really does feel like all these things kind of just bounced off Madoka.
And now it's just a thing with its own momentum. Like, you just have to do that. You have to have the pink-haired, dark-haired combo.
Yeah. It's a strong dynamic. But anyway, she's really excited to go to Hunter Academy. It's her dream. She was on the wait list, but she got in. She's going to do her best. But then a limo comes up in front of her as she's walking to the school, and Weiss comes out. I mean Kaede. You see, the thing about Kaede is she's no Jo-sama, and her father is a manufacturer of the things that they used to fight the monsters, you see. And I think this show is trying to drive me crazy.
I was going to say, this would have driven you nuts.
I'm like, it's not just me. You can't do this to me.
Is this girl racist towards an oppressed minority at some point?
No, she's actually like an aggressive lesbian.
Oh.
In a way that, like, in other properties, I would probably find her more, like, creepy. But in this property that's so fucking creepy and it's leery and stuff in general, she ends up being, like, kind of charming.
Just by comparison.
Yeah, just because she's so openly, like, into the main character by the end of this episode, and she's just always mad because obviously she's not the one because she's not a Homura. And you find out that ever since last year, something must have happened last year, and now it's Lily's dream to be a Lily. But the thing is, she doesn't know literally anything about being a Lily or how it works. So she's not Ruby, she's John.
Uh-huh. Non-gender swapped John. That's interesting.
So they arrive at school together, and there's some haughty pink nya girl. A lot of the girls are like cat girl-ish. I've noticed that with a lot of different properties like this and the boat girls and stuff. They always just like to throw in a bunch of cat girls.
It's a funny instinct, isn't it? People just like cat girls, I guess.
Yeah, it's... So this haughty pink cat girl is challenging the Homura to a fight. She's like, I have bigger BDE than you. And Lily sees them and she's like, oh, that girl, I recognize her from that thing that we saw at the very beginning of the show where the Homura was fighting the monster. And she's like, that's the person that I've been coming. I want to meet her. And so... The thing about this show is because they're selling a bunch of dolls, a bunch of characters will constantly just like keep coming in and start talking as if you're supposed to know who they are, but you don't.
Okay.
And a lot of them are anime original even, so it's just like it didn't really understand how to introduce a bunch of characters to you.
Yeah, right. Is it one of those things where they just assumed if you were watching this, you were familiar with the franchise, I guess?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's just because they didn't give a fuck and they're like, you have to show off these characters and these characters in this episode. And they were like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is funny because, like, Review, like you said, there was also a pre-existing multimedia franchise, kind of, but they still made a point of, like, giving you a quicker introduction to all of the characters, which was quite, straightforward, but it worked.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is they are going to end up with a team of 9 girls. So you can kind of compare. This makes Review look really good in terms of how it was able to balance 9 girls being in the story because this one does such a worse job of it. Other important characters that get introduced. There's Fumi. She's like the kind of nerd gossip reporter kind of girl. She's got short tan hair. And for some reason, whenever new girls show up, she's like, oh, I know who that girl is. And her nose starts bleeding a bunch. But she doesn't seem like gay or anything. It's just her nose always bleeds when there's like, I don't understand. Sometimes her nose is just super bleedy.
Her nose bleeds when there's a new person.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like, because one of the other girls, she's like something Maria von Gropius, and I could never remember any of her names besides Gropius. But she has like these long white pigtails, and she just shows up, and one of her pigtails is flopping on Fumi, and Fumi's like, "Oh, you're Miriam von Gropius," and just blood And I don't understand. Someone explain.
That is extremely strange. Just to pause for a second, I'm going to try and get these names down this time. So what's the name of the Madoka?
Riri.
How do you spell that?
Riri.
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 And the Homura?
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay. And Weiss?
Kaede.
Oh, another Kaede.
Yeah, and I won't refer to Fumi by her name. She's a reporter girl.
Oh, okay, sure.
So that other girl wants to fight Homura, and Kaede, she interrupts them and because she wants to introduce herself to the Homura and be like, oh, I think I'd be the best partner for you because there's some kind of partner system that we'll get into.
Wait, hang on. So this show has a partner system, but you end up with a team that's larger than 2 people? Huh. I feel like I've seen that somewhere before.
I didn't bring it up. I'm blameless. But at some point during the scene, they tell you that the girl's name is Yu. The Homura is Yu.
Oh, okay.
So the main 2 are Riri and Yu.
There was one of our commenters who said that we didn't really feel like anime tubers. We're more like Ruby tubers who occasionally talk about anime. Just sort of mixed in there.
Yeah, it's fair. Look, everyone knows I have a brain disease and its name is Ruby. And I mean, I have a condition. Forgive me. But Riri inserts herself in this 3-way fight and she's like, no, don't fight. I'm the nice girl. You can't. And then everyone gets interrupted because there's a huge attacking. We gotta stop the huge.
Oh, okay.
But he's like, not right here. He's like, because there's this weird thing with the huge where they come from the ocean like Pacific Rim, but also there's nests of them. But the nests don't seem to actually have any huge in them, but sometimes huge come out of them. And it's very ambiguous. It's very like, we don't really care how this works kind of feeling.
But the nests are not in the ocean, I assume.
No, they're nests that they're kind of like holes in cliff faces where they'll poke out of and be like, haha. But that only happens once in the show and it's this episode.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough.
So Yu, the Homura, is like, I'm going to go fight the huge. And Kaede, the Ojo-sama lesbian, is like, I'm going to go with you, Yu. And then Riri insists on coming too because she's the main character. So the 3 of them are the ones who are going to go fight it.
Right.
And Riri, she notices that, Yu, she used to seem so much more friendly when she saved her a year ago. But for now, you know what? She just seems really kudere. She seems really serious. This also made me think about Revue Starlight a lot.
I mean, it comes from somewhere else, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's all tropes. Mm. So then, like, as they're running off to fight the monster, there's shitty eye catch art. And the eye catch art is always, like, trying to be horny, but a lot of times the faces are just kind of off or shitty or whatever. And it always amuses me. So the thing is that the Hunter Academy is there to protect everyone from the Grimm. And that's why all the super teens have to stay there and learn how to fight. And so they're going to fight the monster. And this is, it's a bunch of 3D shapes. This is a ball and then there's stuff coming off of it. And they're like, we got to fight it. And Riri tries to activate her weapon, which for some reason they call charms. All the weapons are called charms.
Okay.
But it doesn't work because she hasn't like made her pact with it. And for some reason I'm like, why the fuck don't you know that's a thing? If this is your big dream to do, fucking learn the shit.
Well, how long has she had this weapon? Like, did she just get it today? She's
been like sleeping with it and shit, supposedly, and she brought it to school. So she's had the weapon, but she's just like, I don't know how it works. Okay. Guess I'll just have to get into a situation where it's do or die.
Okay.
So Yu offers to help her make a pact with her charm. And like the monster had attacked and cut Lili's arm. And so Yu is like, it's kind of like intimate and sexual. She's like touching her hand where they have these rings and the blood is dripping down. And she's like, oh, but it's bleeding on it. And Yu's like, yes, that is what has to happen. Boom. And there's magical effects.
Right. Okay.
And then there's some really like kind of Ruby style nice sakuga of Kaede fighting the monster in the meantime. And her weapon is the only one that I actually think is cool because it kind of makes this bow shape and then it goes back into another shape. And I don't know, it just looks cooler than the other ones when she's actually using it.
Oh, okay. So is it like a bow?
It's like, it just shoots when it's in the bow mode, but it just kind of makes like a flared out kind of like blades flaring out like wings. So it looks kind of like a bow, but then it just shoot like a gun.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. The weapon designs are very weird, but hers is the only one that I could pick out of the lineup.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and they are 3D a lot during the fights. So sometimes there will be like a bit of good sakuga, but then they'll be 3D and it's like, whoops.
How's the 3D in this in terms of how it looks?
variable.
Okay.
It's like sometimes I don't mind it so much, but as always, it's more the fact that like the constant flipping between the two will always distract me.
Fair.
So the monster like splurts out a bunch of mist, and it makes things look kind of cool for a bit because, they're like coming in and out of the mist. And Riri is able to save the girls because they were about to hit each other instead of the monster. And they're like, that's what the monster wanted. And she's like, what? They're smart? No, Grimm aren't that smart. They can't do that kind of thing. And then Riri's charm activates, and it does like a whole transformation sequence. That's if for people who have seen Nanoha, it's very much like when their weapons activate, and there's a bunch of like click click and poles coming out and stuff kind of animation.
Yeah, right.
But that only happens like twice in the show. And again, it seems like something that they would have done all the fucking time, considering what this is selling, but they don't. And it's weird.
Yeah. It's something you would have expected for the appeal of the toys, but yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, like I could not tell you what half the girls' weapons really look like because you barely get to get a good look at them. But so Kaede and Riri do a double attack together, and Yu finishes off, and it's great. And then this really weird thing happens where the monster is dying and bleeding, and it hits the rocks, and rocks are falling. And then Riri pushes Kaede into a cave as rocks fall. And I'm like, what is this fucking cask of Amontillado shit? Like, she's just like pushing her in there, and then rocks fall and presumably trap her in there. But apparently this was her saving Kaede.
Okay. Putting her in a hole where it was about to be covered in rocks.
Yeah, I was like, what did this say in the script? What was this supposed to look like? And then you see a crucial flashback of Yu Yu's old partner, who actually looks kind of cool because she has like short white hair that kind of reminds me of Akira from Magireko. She has that kind of semi-butch feel. And it's like, whoa, she had a different partner? I wonder what could have happened to her. I'm sure it was nothing bad. And now they're in quarantine because I guess sometimes you're in quarantine when you fight a monster, but only this episode.
Okay.
So Riri explains to Yu Yu, like, I came here just to meet you because you saved me a year ago. And Yu Yu's like, I don't know how I feel about that. Pretty kudere, I guess. And then the second Homura comes in, but this one's the glasses Homura. But she's not like Homura. She just happens to have the exact same hair as Yu Yu. So sometimes when they were in the same scene, I'd be like, fucking get different hair.
Is the glasses the only distinguishing thing?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, and I guess like her outfit is like slightly different and stuff, but still, they look too similar. And sometimes I'd get confused at first. But her name is Moyu, and she's like the general, she does all science and all weapons manufacturing, and just if you need to know how a thing works or make a thing work, that's her. So she says that the Huge escaped from their school or like their labs. Like, so they were studying it or something, but that was actually an escaped one, which made me think that they were going to like eventually reveal like they were making the Huge or something. But no, I guess there was nothing else more going on there. They just sometimes have Huges in labs and sometimes they get out.
Yeah, why did they feel like they needed to explain where it came from? And this is a world where you just fight Huge sometimes. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, because if you're not going to do anything with that factoid, that's an odd thing to bring up. Yeah.
So anyways, Kaede is waiting outside for them, and then now she's super gay for Riri because Riri saved her by shoving her in that hole.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, you're my girl of destiny now. And they go to the entrance ceremony, and everyone's been there waiting for them, and everyone's like, wow, you guys are the best. You fought that Huge all by so cool. And then the last shot of the episode is Yu Yu back in her room, and her previous partner is talking to her. She's there in her room with her, talking to her, kind of being kind of teasy. That's mysterious. It's the ending theme song.
Right. Okay. That's the ED.
It's really funny because like the first half is very serious art of the girls like looking thoughtful, and then the second half is all like semi-erotic pictures of them, but still with like dramatic music playing, and also they also have shitty faces again, so it's very like it's just really goofy. And then episode 2 opens and there's a third Homura, and I'm like, stop it. Because Lily's roommate, but this is the funny thing, Lily's roommate is a long blue-haired girl. So I was like, Revy Starlight, it happened again.
Is this one sort of pining after Riri, or?
No, she doesn't pine for her, but she like for some reason she helps Lily get dressed, and it's very like weird, touchy, and that girl like sometimes there's scenes with her, but I still don't really know what her deal was. It's weird. And so when she's at school, like now Kaede is just constantly hanging out around her, being like, "She's mine, she's my girl." Everybody else GTFO. But Lily ends up running away from her, and then the best scene of this episode happens because Didi, she spots Yu walking in front of some trees. I've posted this scene to Twitter because it's fucking amazing. So she runs after her and she wants to like greet her, but for some reason like really obvious Sakuga starts happening and the wind is blowing super fucking dramatically. And she's like, Yo, it's me, Lady again, from yesterday. And it seems like she's trying to like shout over the sudden Sakuga wind. And it's really fucking weird.
So she gets drowned out by the wind?
I don't think that's supposed to be it. I think that's supposed to be her like nervously trying to get Yu to talk to her, but because of the animation like going way too fucking hard with the dramatic wind blowing, it just seems like she's worried that Yu can't hear her. And it's weird because she's like introducing herself to Yu even though they were talking to each other after they killed the huge last episode. So it's really strange, and she's just like, How do you do?
Yeah, because they definitely know each other. Yeah, that's, odd.
Yeah, and then Yu walks away and then just cut back to, like the normal animation for the show as other people walk around. And I was like, what the fuck was that? But anyways, it's time for the first foot bath scene, because there's two kinds of bath scenes that happen in this episode. Sometimes they're in the proper baths, and sometimes they're just like in a foot bath. And they both have to happen all the time, anytime they're talking about something.
Wait, so when you say a foot bath, is this like foot fetish stuff? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Because, it's like a big, long outdoor foot bath kind of thing. You see those sometimes in Japan. And of course, the girls have to take all their shoes and stuff off and just soak those leggies. Gotta show those leggies. Just really zoom in on those leggies.
Right, okay. Yeah, I suppose, in regular bath scenes, it's difficult to get the legs in.
Yeah, and really focus on those tiny moe feet with those big-ass chonky thighs.
Yeah, these are not human.
Yeah, and it's amazing because they're still in their like big puffy uniforms, but somehow they still manage to draw like a cleft line for the butt every time. And it's nothing will stop them.
Yeah, I was going to say, how would the butt... that's great.
Yeah, it just makes no sense.
It's like eyebrows that show through hair sometimes when they just sort of float on top.
Yeah. It's important for expressing the emotion of ass. And Kaede shows off her awesome weapon to them, explains how her dad is the super cool rich manufacturer guy.
Right.
And so another kind of conversation that they have a lot is they'll be like having tea, and it's always the same tea set, which is this really fucking blatant 3D shit looking tea set. And it's always extremely distracting because you're always like, oh, it's a fucking 3D teapot again. Look at it. Just look at it.
It's so sad how often this happens now with like any sort of complicated shape.
Yeah.
Like that's some of the joy of the old 2D stuff was looking at them animating little things like that. But now it's just,
And it's like if you had just made it like very simple and 2D, that would have looked so much better than trying to make it look much more complex and 3D. It just looks like shit.
And sticking out really badly. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Fucking goofy. And now it's time for them to explain the partnership system, which is that you get sister married. It's like you get married, but then you refer to each other as big and little sister.
Okay.
It's not weird at all. And it's called being the older girl is the Schutzengel and the younger girl is the Schild, because German is very cool.
The shit angle. Okay, cool.
No, Schutzengel. I don't remember what the Schutz means.
Okay, the shit angel.
I think it's guardian angel or something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, she wants you to be her shit angel, of course.
Just packing more fetishes in.
No. But Yu's like, I'm too kudere for that, obviously. Oh, and Ridi's like, I want to be good enough to be her, for her to be my shit angel. So Kaede, teach me more about charm since you know so much about charm weapons. And they go to the training ground and they're going to leave the training ground without doing any training because they talk. They just end up talking and then they go somewhere else. And I'm like, you fuckers.
Is this like going to be an ongoing thing with the show?
It definitely, there's way less fighting monsters for this fighting monster franchise. It's, there's nothing that reminds me of. There's definitely nothing that makes me think of. But, well, they don't train. When they go to the training room, there's these two other girls training. And this is the first time that they do something that's kind of a recurring theme in this show, which is that you'll see a lot of Shaft-looking action Sakuga. Like, they'll have, like some kind of like running or something, and they'll do that thing where the camera is focusing and unfocusing like they like to do. But there's no shot continuity, and it's completely impossible to follow what the fuck is actually happening. And so it's just like random ass cuts of girls running or jumping or something. And in this case, they're doing some kind of training where they have to like do something with the ball, but who the fuck knows? Because they didn't explain it. They're just suddenly showing you these two girls you don't know, and they're just doing things you have no idea what the fuck it is. And then it's like, wow, they did it. And I was like, what the fuck was that?
So the guy who wrote this, he didn't direct this as well, did he?
He did.
Oh, he did? Oh.
But I don't think that's like shot direction. I don't know how that all works. Because there's also like series composition, and there's like the individual episode directors, and I don't know. The animators. But whoever was responsible did a bad job.
Yeah, it does sound like a bit of a mess. Or at least like a B-team thing trying to do A-team stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, before they can start training, Gropius comes over, the big pigtail girl, and she's like, wow, your weapons, you can have better weapons, you can upgrade them and stuff. You should come with me to the place for our weapon upgrading where we can explain how to upgrade weapons like this is a fucking video game.
I was going to say, yeah, this is the scene from a different medium.
Yeah, it's really weird because it's like, this isn't adapting a video game, so why is this a thing?
I guess it's a way to fill time.
So they go to the forge, and that science weapon girl is there, and they talk forever about how charms channel magi, and it's a whole thing, and look at how the barrels work, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And it comes up that for some reason you used to use a different weapon, but now she uses a different weapon. It's definitely not because something bad happened, huh? And now they're in a dramatic sunset hallway, and Yu and Dee Dee cross, and Lily's like, I want you to be my big sister thing. And Yu's like, you would just drag me down. And Kaede goes to fucking slap her.
Oh, shit.
But Riri stops her from slapping Yu, but then Yu slaps Kaede, and then Kaede slaps Yu.
Slap each other anyway.
The girls are fighting. And Kaede is like, well, you know what, someone like you need a pure girl, like, because you see the main girl, she's just so pure, like Riri, because you're just so cold and hard and blah blah. And then Yu's like, maybe you're right, okay, then I will be her big sister thing. She's very easily convinced.
Just a really basic bit of reverse psychology.
Yeah. And then Kaede is like, wait, no, because I want it for myself, I fucked up. And that's kind of funny.
Oh, poor Kaede.
Yeah, no Riri for her. And then we have the first proper bath scene. And I'm 95% sure that they'll be completely naked in the Blu-ray, because the show, they have like the most ridiculously clingy towels, like even, when they're in the bath and everything. And it just so blatantly looks like very drawn over.
Yeah, right. But yeah, they couldn't get away with it for TV, I guess.
Yeah, and the Gropius girl is even wearing like this weird-ass skin-tight dress that makes no fucking sense in the baths. And I'm like, did you have 5 seconds to draw these over their nakedness? What the fuck is it? But then at the end, you see Yu, and she's talking to her dead partner who's, oh wait, no, she's definitely not dead. She's just here talking to her, so she's totally fine. And she's like, a pledge with me? I hope she regrets it. Da da da, I'm very kudere. Episode 3, it opens with them signing the contract to be Schutzengels, and it's just a marriage contract.
Oh, right, okay.
It's like, I will protect in sickness and in health.
This is like, yeah, it's exactly what this is playing towards. Like, it's pathetic and sad.
Yeah, it's like, I want girls who act gay but are definitely not gay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is that they decide suddenly, a little bit into the first season, that they're going to establish that all the characters have a unique superpower that's unique to them, And it's just,
Wow. How did you drop this show? Like, how did you stop thinking about it?
Because eventually they just keep talking.
Yeah, but you know what else does that? There's another show that does that a lot.
Well, look, I only need one Ruby in my life. It's the OG.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But so Riri doesn't know what her rare skill is. That's what they call the semblances.
Right, okay.
And Yu says her semblance is, her rare skill is lunatic tracer. And it's very dramatic. It's like, oh, fuck, what is that? Or is it lunatic trancer? I think it's lunatic trancer. And it's like, shit, what could that be? It seems like something bad.
Hang on, so she tells her the name, but not what it does.
Yeah. But it's just like, oh, shit, lunatic trancer.
That's kind of funny because, like, where does the name come from? Surely that's just something you made up. So you're just like, this is my cool name.
No, that's the thing. Unlike Ruby, sometimes there's only so many skills and different people can have the same skill.
Okay. Okay, so lunatic transfer is a recognized thing that people can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though Yu is the only person that we know of with it in the show, and they don't imply that there's other ones with it. But for other skills, they imply that there's other people.
Okay, fair enough.
Sometimes they go to watch other girls fight huge, but they're kind of like just on the beach in those kinds of like the setup with the umbrella over like a tea set table with chairs. Like they're just going to go out to the beach and watch other girls kill monsters. And it's very cash. So they're watching like the cooler team, the senpai team fighting monsters. And it's like, oh shit. And they use the Neunwelt tactic, which is a super attack that takes 9 girls to use.
Right, okay.
And the way that Neunwelt works is one girl shoots a special Neunwelt bullet, and then it's like a volleyball thing. You have like a magic ball and you all have to like pass it to each other. And it seems like a very weird way to make it work.
You're just playing catch until eventually you throw it at a monster.
Yeah, but like each girl is, like giving her magic to it or whatever.
Sure.
And like Yu and Riri will just be walking around, and the fucking Kaede and the little reporter girl are always just like following behind them and commenting on things. And like I've said before, like sometimes other characters will just come in and start talking like they know them, but who the fuck are they? Why are they here and talking? Go. And anyways, now it's bath time again.
Fucking hell.
And they ask the upperclassmen about Yu. It's like, why is she so cold and hard? And like when I retrain, it's really hard. And the upperclassmen are like, oh, you don't know about the horrible thing that happened to her. And while they're explaining it, you get the best shot of this episode, which is Kaede like very seriously doggy paddling while they're explaining. So she's trying to look sad about the sad backstory at the same time as she's doggy paddling. And it's my favorite.
Great.
And they're like, I bet you won't believe this, but Yu senpai Shutsengo girl, she died in that attack a year ago. She's dead. But we saw her in the room, but she's dead. How can it be? It's mysteries.
So is Yu a year above Riri and the other new girls?
Yes.
Okay, so but why is she able to partner with the first years instead of the second years?
Well, because that's the whole... The years don't matter for forming the 9 girl teams, and you're specifically supposed to partner with a younger girl to do the whole guardian angel shield thing.
Okay.
Like after they partner up, Lily always calls her One-san.
Right. But does that mean that Kaede wouldn't have been able to partner with Yu because they're in the same year?
No, Kaede is in Lily's year. They're both first years.
Oh, okay, sure.
So it's really weird because she does act like she wants to be with Lily as Shutsengo's, but
Yeah, she can't do that.
Yeah, maybe she thought their love could overcome the rules. So they cut to a week later and they're training and the bell rings. That means it's time for them to go fight a monster. But first they cut to this like really weirdly romantic scene of Yu fixing up Lily's clothes like in a completely different room. And she's like, it's important to be like professional or whatever. And they're like, okay, now we can go fight the monster. So they go out to fight the huge, but Yu's like, I'm going to fight it myself. And they're like, oh shit, this huge is restored, which apparently means that it's like, if you don't kill a huge, it will just go home and kind of heal and come back. And it's like, oh fuck.
Oh, okay. Are they stronger when they come back, or are they just like, it's just the same thing?
I guess probably they're smarter. They've come back stronger than you can possibly imagine. And so Yu is fighting the monster by herself, and you see a bunch of girls' charm swords embedded in it, like, oh fuck, this monster's killed a bunch of girls.
Oh shit.
And it gives her PTSD flashbacks to her dead partner. Oh, and my girl shows up, who showed up a few times just randomly. So the girl that I like the most has green hair. She's the one that I showed you the shitty doll of at the beginning.
Ah, right.
But she looks really cute in the show, and she really likes cats. And her and another girl will often be seen hanging out with cats. And I'm like, we cool. You and me are cool.
I can get down with this character trait.
Yeah, but so Yu goes white berserker hair mode, and so her semblance is that she has a white hair berserker mode where she'll hurt you if you get too close to her. It's a curse.
Right. Okay.
So one of the reasons that she doesn't like using it is because people suspected that she killed her partner girl because she probably went crazy and killed her.
Oh, okay.
She can't be trusted.
Right. Okay.
But Riri's like, no, I have to go to her. I must. And wait, I'm skipping past all this stuff that's hard to fucking explain because it's nonsense.
Is it dialogue or is it action? That's hard to explain.
It's action because, they show a flashback of Yu and her girl, and you see that senpai getting stabbed to shit by a huge during that whole thing a year ago. And then it jumps back to the present, and Riri is there next to Yu, but then it turned out that was just some kind of, psychic link they had. And then she actually goes to Yu, and it looks exactly the same. And I'm like, why did it...
What?
And then that never happens again, and this is why... don't worry about it.
Fucking weird. Okay.
What's important is that so she goes to Yu for real this time, and she jumps in her arms and hugs her, and she hugs her out of being berserk, and it's beautiful.
But is the monster dead?
No, not yet. When Riri went to go to Yu, she hit their weapon against the other girl's weapon, and it made one of those magi spheres. So I guess sometimes you can do it without the special bullet, but only this time.
Right.
And then they use that magical sphere to kill the monster together. They do the thing where they hold each other's arms and stab it together or whatever.
Okay.
And they go to visit Misuzu's grave together, which is the senpai girl. And they're having this very intimate moment. And then they cut to a wide shot and fucking all the other girls are just there in the background, just looking at them.
Rude. Fucking hell.
You can never get a fucking moment alone in this show. It's just there's too many characters. They're going to just keep showing up. And then suddenly there's the end of episode scene of her talking to her senpai girl, but someone comes in and turns the light on, and it's her real roommate who has the same hair color, but it's a complete coincidence.
Right.
So you understand, that's a hallucination, or she's a good ghost or something.
Oh, okay. Right. So is it she's been interacting with this ghost, right? Or has she been ignoring it?
She'll talk to it.
Okay.
But yeah, it seems like it's just a ghost vision or something.
Right.
So episode 4 focuses on some girls that we've barely seen a couple times in the background. There's a Chinese girl and a Taiwanese girl. And the Chinese girl is very aggressively Chinese. She has, a kind of Chinese dress that for some reason no one, everyone else wears school uniforms. But for some reason this one girl has a special China dress to show you she's from China.
Yeah, right.
This is very important. And the Taiwanese girl has long brown hair and heterochromia. She has one red eye and one green eye, like you do. And I always hate that. I always find that really distracting as a character design thing. It just looks goofy to me.
Yeah. Oh, you're just like what's her name's bullies in Wonder Egg.
Oh no! Look, it's always red and green, and it looks like a fucking traffic light. Goofy.
Those specific colors. Okay.
Yeah, but Riri has to form a legion of 9 girls. She's got to go catch them all. She's got to get 9 girls to be in her team. So they're part of the reason of this episode is so they can walk around talking to a bunch of different girls, some of whom aren't really going to be characters, but are presumably dolls that you can buy.
I was going to say, because the whole thing of setting up a team of 9 in a show where you don't really have time to get into 9 characters means that some of these people are going to be pretty background.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they're meant to be part of your big team and very important to you and shit.
Look, what's important is look at girls. You can buy them. And one of the girls that's going to end up joining their team is Tazusa, she's the very antisocial, deadpan, yellow ponytail girl. And her voice is very distracting to me because she has a normal human voice. And every time she talks, I'm like, that's wrong. that doesn't belong in this show. Why do you just sound like a human?
She doesn't sound like a squeaky anime girl.
Yeah, she actually has a kind of surprisingly deep voice. And I'm always taken aback by it.
Yeah, you kind of got to commit to one or the other. For me, in an anime, anytime anything there's a normal voice next to a really squeaky anime girl voice, I think it's you mentioned once, and it's all I can ever think about is a grown-ass woman in a booth having to put on that voice for several hours.
Yeah.
It's just a very distracting idea.
Yes, how are you doing, Liddy?
I'm doing fine.
So it turns out that the blonde girl's thing is that she's super antisocial, but she likes cats a lot. And so she'll find stray cats and she wants to hang out with them. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And she finds a stray cat that's laying on the green-haired girl. The green-haired girl was just taking a nap on the lawn and the cat was laying on her. And she's like, oh, that cat's it accepts food from me, but it doesn't let me touch it. And the green girl's like, well, it's pretty relaxed right now. Just give it a shot. And you can tell that they're kind of becoming friends over that. And then I do like that the scene just ends with the cat like batting the girl's hand away.
Mine.
Like she's going for it. And it's like, nah.
That's good. That's very cat behavior. I don't like you. I like this one. Don't touch me.
Yeah. Yeah, so often those girls will be seen like looking for cats or hanging out with cats. And I'm like, okay, you two, you can come on my arc for magical girls.
I kind of like that this is also a barometer for how edgy this show is going to be, because if this was a more edgy show, some cats are going to die. You know.
Yeah.
You can't have a character that likes cats without a cat dying in an edgy show.
Yeah, they need to stop. It's time to stop. Don't ever do that to me again in anime. So of course they gotta talk about all the different people they've met and who could possibly join their team, and the only place to do that is at the foot bath. Soaking our feet. And so they don't really know that heterochromia Taiwanese girl at all, but they just kind of show up and ask if she'll be in their team, and she's like, sure. And I was like, oh, that was an easy get.
Look, again, some of these aren't going to be winners.
Yeah, I don't even know what her deal is besides always hanging out with the Chinese girl. And the Chinese girl is like, I don't know if I should join. I'm kind of, I don't know. And for some reason they land on she needs to do like a test to show that she's ready to join a team. And it's really weird because like she ends up getting the very big dramatic moment of this episode. And I just remember watching it and being like, who the fuck are these two? Why are we paying attention to them now? Because it becomes this whole test where like, I don't even understand how this test works, because the heterochromia girl is like, try to hit me with your sniper rifle from way far away. Then the Chinese girl takes out her sniper rifle and she shoots her, and the heterochromia girl hits the bullet away, and she's like, that doesn't count, I guess, if she hits it away. So she deflects the bullet 10 times, but one time she hits it right back at the sniper girl, and the sniper girl hits it, and then they're like, you pass. And I was like, what?
This is a weird game.
I don't understand the rules.
It's like Soccer Go in fucking Nichiju or something.
Yes.
Also, can I just say, you've got a show with an overly large team where there's been a particular focus on two side characters that we don't really know or care about. That's interesting. That's an interesting idea.
Why do you keep saying these things? It's really confusing to me. Anyway, it's time to go to the baths. And then it's time to cut to Ozpin. Because, see, here's the thing. The only major male character in the show is this white-haired, glasses-wearing headmaster man who knows many secrets and is just trying to take care of all these battle kids, but he's so conflicted because they're kids, but also they have to fight, but they're kids.
Okay, well, hang on. In that case, he's not Ozpin. That's his whole thing, is he makes kids fight.
It's true, but no, he's still very conflicted about it. He promises off screen. But he also, sometimes he walks around with a cane. And I'm like, you're fucking gaslighting me, TV show. You can't do this to me.
Does the cane store time or kinetic energy? Or
no, it's just a cane.
Okay.
And he's talking to the science girl, the Moyu girl, about where Huge might have come from, but it's a secret that we won't ever learn in this season. And I don't know why they made it seem like it was foreshadowing for something that we don't find out.
What are the chances of this getting a second season?
That's the thing. The final shot is a very like, maybe there will be a second season. I don't think so.
Okay.
But, so the thing is that the Huge showed up 50 years ago, and they just kind of showed up, and that's all we'll ever learn about where they came from.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, wait, the scene with the cat and the hand slappy actually happens here in episode 5. I forgot that they don't join the team until episode 5.
Oh, okay. Can I also ask, is there ever an explanation for why there's apparently no boy fighters?
No.
Okay.
It's just like, for some reason, Magi, the magical energy, just likes girls.
Oh, okay.
And so they must rely on the girls, even though they're children, but they have to fight the monsters, but they're children.
Oh, okay. Well, this sounds like a different property now.
What are you?
No. Something a bit closer to home, Cube.
Are you talking about Sleepy Dooms? It is great because there's a scene later where they're having a conversation about grief sitting on a bench next to each other, and the chat was bullying me and saying, oh, it's Sleep's Domain. All of a sudden I was like, shut up. Anyway, this episode is also about Yu going to get Ramune for Riri, and that's the main plot of this episode.
Wow.
Because she finds out that it's Riri's birthday tomorrow, and she knows that Riri likes Ramune, and I guess Ramune must have like sponsored this episode because everybody just talks about how fucking great Ramune is. So she's on a quest for Ramune, and so she journeys to Riri's like wrecked ass hometown that had like been evacuated a year ago. And she goes to a store that's still open somehow, and there's like a person who's there, like a guy that's there running the store, but he's never on screen during this whole episode. You just like hear him speaking to her from off screen, and it's really weird and uncanny.
That is really odd, yeah.
Yeah, they just keep like cutting to like a stock BG of the shop, and it's like, where is he? Where is she talking to him? Don't worry about it. It's creepy. And she buys 2 ramune, and he gives her a cooler, and she's like, what is this? And I'm like, do you not fucking know what a cooler is? Okay. So she's trying to take the 2 ramune back because she wants to, like share one with Riri, and it'll be very romantic. But on the train ride back, happens to be 2 children that are very thirsty. So because she has such a pure heart inside, she has to give both the ramune to the children. And it's like, oh no, but now I don't have a birthday gift for Riri.
Why did you have to travel so far to get these things? Are they not more easily accessible?
Good ass question. Supposedly they're hard to get, but here's what happens next. So she gets back and she's like in the town leading up to the school, and she happens to run into the green and the blonde girl, and because they're chasing cats, which, is a strong activity, and I support them. Because they just want to hang out with cats. And so they walk back to school talking to her, and they just happen to notice that there's a vending machine with ramune in it.
Good thing you spent the whole day traveling to buy a Coke.
Yeah, and then Yu goes to give Riri the ramen, and she's like, oh, did you get that from the vending machine outside the school? That's where I always go. I love it. And it's just like, you dumb bitch.
That's actually kind of funny.
It is kind of funny, but it's still like, this is a weird episode.
Yeah, it's funny, but that's part of why it's funny, is that you blew an entire episode on this.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like kind of like very contemplative when she's going through, like, oh, the ruined city that the huge have destroyed or whatever, and then it's just this fucking dumb gag at the end. And then the green and the blonde girl are like, we'll join your team, so now they got all 9 girls, and they did it.
So hang on, you're saying this show had an episode where the main character went to explore the ruins of a former city that's been destroyed, and characters were contemplative.
Wait, are you talking about Volume 2, Ruby? Yeah. It's not that similar. You're drawing parallels that are quite a stretch, frankly. And that's shameful. Anyways, bath time.
This is amazingly consistent in terms of they always get like some time in one of the baths.
Yeah, it's really important. Usually both.
Yeah, I guess no bones about what this is about, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm going to have to like check on the Blu-ray. I don't know if the first one's come out yet, but I need to know if they just drew them all buck-ass naked for all these scenes. Because if they didn't, then it's even funnier that their towels look so fucking weird.
I mean, it might be that's as much as they could do. So, but like, what's under there. Yeah,
but then like usually you'd think they would just do like the tasteful fog or whatever and not just draw them in funny ass nonsense clothes.
Yeah, but like, say, tasteful fog has the word tasteful in it. The show doesn't seem that tasteful.
True. It's a horrible curse. So the dramatic scene at the end of this episode, we're back in Yu Yu's room, and her roommate tells her, we've been looking into it or something, and I think Diddy's rare skill might be charisma. She's just a likable gal, is her superpower.
Yeah, right.
And then they have a ramune themed special ending song for this episode where everyone is drinking ramune, happy to get together.
This must have been a sponsorship, surely.
Yeah, there's no way. So how much did they pay? How much? You need to know. What does that run you?
Amazing. Fucking amazing. Because, I mean, like, Pleiades, obviously, the entire thing was sponsored by Subaru, and the Subaru stuff was a little more prominent than it probably had to be in terms of all the weird stuff with the fucking brooms.
I don't know. That's still, like, that was really weirdly subtly done, considering the entire show was sponsored by Subaru.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose at no point did they just drive around in a Subaru and talk about how comfortable it was.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, where they were just directly drinking the product and talking about the product and stuff. But it's like, there is something funny about doing that in an anime, because it has to be like, unlike, say, in a sitcom where the product placement can just sort of be slipped in, there's so much work that goes into like inserting it into an animated show like this, to the point where you've built an entire episode around it. My
favorite bit of trivia about product placement in anime is, have you heard about like the Code Geass Pizza Hut thing?
Yeah, I've heard vaguely. What was it again?
Yeah, it was like Pizza Hut paid for it to show up in the anime one time, but they thought it was really funny and they just kept putting Pizza Hut products in the anime and having them eating pizza because
it just amused them.
Yeah, and it is funny because they'll just be eating fucking Pizza Hut like stuffed crust or whatever while they're doing like super ridiculous sci-fi over the top anime things, and it is pretty good.
And then of course you can't, there's always fucking Domino's and Miku. Probably the greatest sponsorship of all time.
If any of you have not fucking seen that commercial of Domino's Miku with the head of Domino's, you need to fucking go see it right now or I'll kill you.
The YouTube version, we should just stop the podcast and just insert the entire thing.
It's so fucking good. That's true art. It never gets old. It's amazing.
It really is like pretty incredible.
Once your pizza arrives, have some fun with Miku.
Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like that. Like, why? Who talked the head of Domino's into being in the ad? Why is he there?
The way they keep zooming in on his eyes.
Yeah. It's like a Tim and Eric thing. It's like a shit post. It's not an ad.
It is. It's so good. Anyways, this stupid ass show.
Yeah.
Episode 6. They're talking about the Noin Belt tactics some more. It says that maybe they'll get a chance to use it this episode, I wonder. And so they're watching the Alfheim, the senpai girls using it, and they use it on a huge, but oh no, it wasn't strong enough. I guess our girls are gonna have to fight the huge. Oh no.
Oh no.
And there's a super fucking Eva ass shot because you know that shot where like the angel's like walking forward and there's like fire everywhere and it's like this very distinctive looking like and the buildings are burning.
It's walking slowly and doing the big sort of noises.
Yeah.
Another one.
You know what I'm talking about. But like it doesn't really make much sense here because then they zoom out and it's just like blue skies and shit. And so it just looks like completely disconnected from everything else visually, which is a common theme in this. But Ozpin is talking to his like weird like student council girl team about like, oh, these girls, they can't possibly beat the huge. They're so new and stuff. I can't possibly imagine how they might beat the huge. And Yu goes to fight it, and she sees her old sword that she lost in the thing a year ago embedded in the huge.
Oh, shit.
And it triggers her berserker mode, PTSD. Wow!
It's pretty easily triggered.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is her thing that she lost in the event that killed her friend. Come on, have some sympathy. And I guess presumably, like, I didn't realize until my rewatch, but I think this is the monster that killed her friend girl.
Oh, okay.
Like I couldn't keep track of it because again they're all just fucking 3D shapes.
So this one's a returned or a comeback or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay. So he's back again, and Dee comes in and she's like, you have to retreat. You're all hurt and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm berserker. And then she hugs her again and makes her feel better again. And this was like when I decided to continue watching the series. After all, I was watching this episode and I was like, have I already watched this episode? And no, it's just because they're fucking doing the same thing again as that other episode.
So when she's in berserker mode, she can like talk and communicate and stuff?
I think slightly. You know, it's like, no, I can't, kind of thing.
Right, okay. You just sound so pained.
It's because it's like I really want to express the things, but it's hard to do them justice. Because there's a flashback of Yu and her dead partner, and the dead partner is philosophizing, and she's like, you know, the ability to use magic came from huge, and lilies are humans that can use magic, so humans are basically the same as huge, you know? Did you ever think about that?
Right.
And so Lily manages to take Yu away from the battle, and they have this private moment when Yu's like, you can't, I'm cursed. We can't fight together. I'm too cursed. And there is a kind of like cute scene of her, like she just like starts crying in a pretty well animated way. And she's just like, I can't protect you. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. And then people are still fighting, and there's a lot of confusing 3D going on, and I don't know what's happening. But and then they all end up doing the Neuenwelt. They do the volleyball pass, and they win.
Okay, cool, great, cool.
Oh, no. It's much more exciting than that because, yeah, this is the first time that our main team does it. And for some reason, once they start passing the Magi Ball, fucking the background disappears. For like a long time, it's just blackness, even though they're like fighting in this like, you know, blue sky beach zone. And it's just really like, it's the kind of thing where I think they just didn't have backgrounds, but they're trying to sell it as a stylistic thing, but it's not working at all.
Right, okay. So is there a point in this show where you can see they may be running low on the budget?
It was most of the show.
Oh, okay. But I mean, like, this is Shaft. We're used to them delivering something that's not quite done.
That's true. Maybe the Blu-rays will be fucking amazing and they have the best backgrounds.
And makes sense.
But yeah, this whole dramatic volleyball pass sequence, black backgrounds, everyone's 3D, looks like shit. It's very beautiful.
Did I ever tell you about, that 70s show? You remember that?
I never actually saw it. I know it existed.
Okay. I don't know if it was actually a spin-off or something, but someone made like one season of a show called That 80s Show, which was the same premise, just a bunch of kids hanging around. But it was notably cheaper. And there was one episode where the main two characters went on a date to an ice cream store, but the show was so fucking budget that instead of having a set for an ice cream store, it was on a black soundstage where there was a table, a chair, and a small freezer and a dude in an ice cream uniform. And they just played the scene like no one was going to notice that you're just suddenly on a black soundstage.
That's awesome. That's very Kamen Rider.
Yeah, it's amazing. But it was like this is a normal ass sitcom that otherwise had normal sets and shit, but just for this one episode, they just completely ran out of money.
Of course, I already knew that story because it was mentioned in a failure to launch, and I'm a dedicated listener.
Oh, thank you for the cross promotion.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, episode 7, it's time for the real shit to start now.
Oh, shit.
Because you see a ship with some mysterious eggy pod things on it, and then it gets attacked from below the ocean. Oh, it blows up and the OP plays. And it's like, what was that all about? And then it cuts to Didi finding one of those pods in like the remains of a huge, and a girl comes out of it.
Oh.
This is a naked girl with long purple hair, and she's like, bleh?
Sorry, are you saying a girl came out of an egg?
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't happen in Ruby. I don't know what you're talking
No, I'm thinking of a different show where girls come out of eggs.
Don't make me think about that show. It brings me pain. So yeah, the naked girl comes out of the egg, and it cuts to her in pajamas in the hospital, and they're all like, "What the fuck is with this girl? It's very mysterious." And Didi's very concerned about her. And the girl she wakes up and she's all baby talk, like she's just like Didi, me, blah, kind of thing.
Right.
And they're like, oh, she reacts to Magi. She is a lily. She has the power. But what is her deal? She's mysterious. We don't know where she came from. And then it cut to Ozpin, and an evil off-screen council is telling him, maybe you should turn the purple girl over to us. But he says, no, she's a lily. You can't make me. And they basically give Didi custody of the purple girl.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
They're like, she likes you, so you can be her school mom or whatever.
Oh, yeah, cool. That makes a ton of sense. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's the best.
We found a girl in an egg who can barely speak. Let's give it to one of our first years.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, what else are you going to do? And you use very nervous, but because she's jealous. She's jealous of all the attention that this purple girl's getting.
Oh, my God. That is so stupid.
What?
It's so babyish.
Well, yeah, they're teen girls. They have to remind you that every once in a while they'll be like, well, they are teen girls after all. This is fucking unreasonable, Weemon. And it's funny because at one point you see her doing that very generic thing of where she's like walking with the two poles on either side of her, like she can barely walk. And then it cuts to slightly later and she's running on the treadmill with just a little moe anime smile, and Nidi's looking at her concerned. And I'm like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be getting from this scene exactly. She runs too well now or something is weird.
Yeah, she's now become too powerful and is scary.
Yeah, she can run slowly on a treadmill. We got to put her down. But you know what? They all accept the purple girl as a member of their team, and she's their special 10th team member. They're breaking the fucking rules. That's not allowed. How dare they? And they're like, what are we going to call her? Does she have a name? And they find out that Didi has been calling her Yuri, which is, it's like Yuri, like a lily, but it's also a combination of Yu and Didi's names. So it's the gayest possible name, basically.
Right, okay. So this is their science alien daughter, I suppose.
Yeah. It's also, at some point, the little reporter girl had called their pairing Yuri, like a Bradifer kind of thing. What is that thing called? Benifer? It's when you name celebrity couples by making a portmanteau of their names.
Oh, yeah. Which has fallen out of fashion, which is good, I think. It was pretty lame.
No, it's the best.
Benifer was a really poor one. They just
Benifer, that was it.
It sounds like a crappy attempt to like make a female version of Ben or something.
Yeah, but on the plus side, I like it because it sounds stupid. And it brings me joy. But so that's the end of that episode. She's joining their team. Wow, they have a daughter now or something. It's weird.
So hang on, are they 10 members now?
Yeah.
Oh.
So what the fuck?
Shit.
Can't do that. You're going to do 10 Velts? You can't do it. It's impossible.
Well, no, hang on. No, it wouldn't be 10 Welt. It would be, what's the German word for 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Zehn.
Zehn, yeah.
Zehn Velts.
Any native German speakers listening to that would have just gone, ugh.
No, they're like, thank you for this food. Nom, nom, nom. For the respect for my culture. Anyways, episode 8 opens on a bath scene, getting straight to it.
Fucking amazing.
They didn't have time for one last episode. They got to make up for it. And it's time for the sports festival. So they're all talking about how they're going to have that sports fest. But of course, because they're battle magical girls, it's all battle sports.
Okay, this has the capacity to be fun. This is like something that other shows like this, like Ruby, could have done more with. Doing the school sports episode, but kind of like fucking crazy school sports. That could be fun.
Yeah, it could be, in theory.
Okay.
They mentioned that suspicious people have been lurking around the school lately. It might be Gehenna, which is apparently another company that makes stuff kind of like the Weiss Girls' dad, but a different company.
Oh, okay.
And the blue-haired roommate girl is talking to Didi about, she's talking about like these girls, they're trained for battle to fight monsters. But what if when there's no monsters, what will they be used for? Maybe will they be used to fight war?
Oh.
Are they heroes bringing peace, or are they weapons pointed at the enemy so someone else can claim a victory?
Oh, interesting.
Which is weird because that's actually like a very kind of deep talk for a character that we almost never see and don't really know anything about.
Yeah, it's a strange thing to give a side character who we're not going to see much of.
Yeah, it's like, okay, thanks for that. It's kind of generic thought. Okay, bye. And so fucking Yuri, the daughter girl, she like sniffs everyone and she's like, I can smell sadness on you. And it's like, what? And then she's like, I sniffed you again and and because Didi's here, now you're happy. And it's like, why can you smell emotions? Okay. Because later they say that she has very generic human DNA and she's just a normal person. So it's like, why can she smell emotions? Okay, fine, whatever.
Is that possibly a semblance? Is what she's smelling is like petals that are actually floating around a person?
Shut up. And no.
Oh.
And Yudi's like, I want to fight too. And they're like, what? Can Yudi fight too? And maybe she can. And so it's sports day, and the girls are doing competition stuff, but it's not like you don't get to see much of it.
No.
And it's mostly just showing shots of all the random girls standing around that you can buy.
Right.
And you see people just like fucking blatantly spying on them, like adult men with binoculars in the forest, like looking at them.
That is so...
You're not going to do anything about that?
Yeah, that is so unintentionally creepy. Just like, oh yeah, no, those guys are definitely from some corporation. They're not just like perverts.
We promise. Because they're wearing tactical gear. They're wearing camo.
Oh yeah, because there's definitely nothing, in the modern day in terms of complete creeps wearing a lot of camo stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. I only know Ruby. So the gropiest girl ends up using her semblance, which like uses up all of your power at once. So she's tapped out. And so the little girl, the baby, has to end up taking her place in an exhibition fight against a big robot. And oh no, there's a big barrier up. No one can stop her. She's going to have to fight the robot all by herself, even though she did away the baby.
Okay.
And she like holds her sword up like it's a little toy and like waves to Didi. And she's like, I'm going to do it. Haha, I love it. And she's just such a fucking baby. But then we actually get a lot of proper Sakuga for the first time in a long time while she fights this robot.
Huh.
And it's like, whoa, animation.
Is it cool?
Kinda. Except that it's like just such a goofy situation.
No,
It's just this fucking baby fighting this robot. But there are some shots that I'm like, ooh, whoa, somebody's working there. And all the other girls are like backseat gaming with her. They're like, oh, dodge to the left, blah, blah, blah. You can do it. And it is, I guess it's kind of cute. Like they're all trying to give this newbie pointers. And it's kind of cute like that.
That sounds nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and she beats the monster and she's very happy. I did it. And then the credits play and it's all cutesy. And then after credits, that's when, so the headmaster is talking to the science girl, and the science girl's like, yes, we've analyzed Yuri's DNA. It's normal. I would say too normal. That means she's definitely a huge. I don't understand how that works.
Is this like an Attack on Titan thing? Where it like turns out we're all the same or something?
No, you'd think so. You'd think that this would all mean something, but somehow she's just a completely normal. They say that like she's the most normal human DNA, and I was like, what does that even fucking mean?
Yeah. Yeah, what's the benchmark? What's the average? I'd like it if it was like she was just incredibly smooth, like a bit too smooth, like a bad 3D model. Such a normal human.
Yeah, and she like has no bacteria. She's dead. But somehow they're still sure that she's definitely a huge, because they found like some kind of secret documents at the two big weapon manufacturing companies. They'd lost a test subject, and they're like, that's definitely fucking her.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck.
Oh shit.
And so for some reason they realize that Yuri is cloned from the cells of a huge, because apparently the cells of a huge have all the DNA, just all of it. And so they managed to like extract the human part of that and make a person.
So does that mean the huge are also like other animals and shit?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're just giant 3D shapes.
But just when you say all the DNA, I'm like, and they've just pulled the human bits out. What was the other DNA?
Oh yeah, they said they're like the Noah's Ark of DNA.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know how that works with the fact that they're just big 3D shapes.
I do like the idea that, like, if you just put every single, like, living thing's DNA into one animal, it just comes out as a bunch of shapes. It's like a renderer going, I don't know what to do with this, man.
Yeah. This is polygons. And Kaede is on the phone calling her bad dad, her jock schnee of the show. And it's like, oh shit, what kind of dramatic conversation are they having? End of episode.
Shit.
So episode 9 opens with Riri cutting Yuri's hair because she's her fucking mom. And so, of course, she has to cut her hair for her. And she's just like on the roof of the school cutting her hair. And
makes sense.
This episode kind of goes back and forth confusingly in whether the headmaster is willing to hand Yuri over to the evil people or not. Because he says like, well, if she's really a huge, then she's not a Lily, and so we can't claim ownership of her, so we got to give her to the evil guys, because I guess she's not a person, even though she's a person with completely human DNA, and what the fuck, how does that work?
And what are you talking about? Are we going to find out who this council are in relation to everyone else at some point?
Wait, the evil people?
Yeah, the evil council.
The evil council is like, it's like, I guess in this case it's the government.
Okay.
There's the government, there's the weapon manufacturers, and they seem to generally be on the same team, so I don't keep track of which is which. Yeah,
because I was just thinking that, like, you've got Weiss's evil weapons manufacturers, and then you've got this other set of weapons manufacturers, and there's government.
But they've been working together.
Right, okay.
And stuff. There's bad people. Illuminati.
So handing her over to the government is sort of like probably handing the test subject back to the company that made her?
Yeah. No, yeah, the companies want to take control of her. They want to take custody of their possession.
Yeah, because they made her in the first place.
But she's a human being. Yeah.
But did you know that this artificial being is actually a person?
Oh, no.
Because they have a human soul.
So the 3 student council girls that are always talking to the headmaster go over to tell Lily while she's cutting Yuri's hair. She's like, hey, that girl's a huge, so you need to give her. And Yudi's like, what? That can't be true. No, she's a person. And Yudi's like, I want to stay with you. Wah. And so Yu kind of comes over and creates a diversion so Diddy and Yuri can escape. They're on the run now.
Oh, shit.
At one point, the Ozpin guy says it's taboo for humans and huge to be friends, and I'm like, taboo?
Like, I would have thought not really possible.
Yeah, it's just like socially unacceptable.
To go hang out with a monster that wants to kill you.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so, of course, all the girls in Lily's club, her Legion thing, decide to protect her because they're good kids. Wow. Oh, and so Kaede has a dramatic conversation with her dad on the phone, and he's like, I just wanted to do these kinds of experiments because I thought if we created a huge that could fight other huge, it would avoid more girls becoming endangered. And so he actually had, like noble reasons. And she says, like, too bad, she is a girl like us, so you didn't avoid girls like us being endangered. And I was like, that's kind of a nice line.
So yeah, it's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah, I was like, damn, you sunk his battleship. And so she told her dad off, and so she just goes to hang out with the other girls.
So hang on. So her dad her dad works for the same company that made her and was spying on the event? That's all just the one weapons manufacturer?
No, there are two. They kind of try to play it like he went along with the more evil company's evil plans, but now he understands that it was a mistake.
Okay.
So he did bad things, but don't be mean to him. No bully. And oh yeah, so suddenly they start cutting around to all these other random girls that I think are the main characters of like the new gotcha game and stuff.
Right.
So you're just seeing like other girls talking about how they feel about Yuri, and it's like, do you know her? Who the fuck are you? Don't worry about it. And the headmaster is talking to the government guys who are all like, she's a huge not a person, you have to turn her over, blah blah. And the science girl kind of comes in and starts arguing, and she defeats them with facts and logic. She's like, look, no human is a perfect human. And I'm like, yeah, then why did you say that shit earlier? And she's like, she has 99.9% of our DNA, but we all have different DNA, blah, 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 blah. And anyway, but then she does bring up that, like, according to this international treaty as to who counts as a human, these are the very specific things that she falls under. And I'm like, oh, that is a very legal kind of argument. I like it.
But I mean, it's a legal argument they made up in their own show, I guess.
Yeah, but she's like, there's an international treaty that was meant for, things like more like artificial insemination or whatnot, or like test tube babies.
Okay.
And so it's like, oh, that's a believable rule that would exist as an international treaty, and now you're applying it. I like that little idea.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
It feels like someone thought a bit about that conversation. Just put a few moments in.
I'm starting to get the impression that like there are some like half decent little moments of writing in this. Or at least like some good scenes in terms of that like someone put a little bit of effort into the thinking about something for these characters to talk about.
Yeah, and I think partly it's because that fucking guy, the Pleiades guy, like he likes science and stuff. And so like every once in a while you see that kind of come through. But most of the time it's just fucking these toy girls hanging out. And who gives a fuck?
In baths.
Yeah, now put them back in the bath.
They can talk about science as long as they're in a bath.
Yeah. So you see Didi and Yuri hanging out in one of the destroyed villages, and it's like, what'll we do? We're on the run. And then it's like, nope, we don't need to fight. The order was rescinded because they defeated the council with facts and logic, and they said, you know what, you can keep her, actually. And they're like, oh, okay. But then suddenly a huge attack. So no, we have to fight after all. There's a monster. No. And so this huge is like a tower with a bunch of like kind of drones making these magical circles, like kind of fanning out around it. It'll be important to understand that it's kind of confusing looking because so Yuri's like, I'm going to go out and fight it. Haha. And it turns out that she has everyone's semblances. She just kind of like, she's like a blue mage or something, or, because she's just so special that she has every power of the people she's met. And so she destroys all the little drone things. She's blasting through them. She's really good at being, not a huntsman. She's really good at being a lily. And she does a big old blast laser, destroys the huge, and there's a big explosion, and she's dead now. And it's very confusing because, like, she kills the monster and there's like rainbow lights, and then she's like, like she knows she's dying. I'm like, why did that? I don't understand.
Yeah, why does this kill her?
She just kind of, it's her time to die.
Yeah,
now.
This is just a dramatically appropriate moment to die. Okay.
It's super funny.
Oh, God.
and he's like, I was just cutting her hair this morning. She was smiling. Why?
I mean, that does sound like a bad time. But also just that, why did she need to die?
Because it's dramatic.
Yeah, but did the monster require her going all out? Was it that big and powerful, or was it just like she overdid it?
I don't know. If it's supposed to be more powerful than other heaters, they really didn't sell that.
Yeah.
Because like she just like kind of goes out in front of the other girls. It's not like it's kicking the other girls' asses or anything. She just goes and she fights and she wins and she dies.
Yeah, because that's the sort of thing where like this might have seemed more appropriate if it was like clear that this thing couldn't be taken down any other way. But if it's just regularly huge, it's just like, well, that was unnecessary.
I think they mentioned like it's a huge that's like manipulating magi in a way that we don't think huge can normally do. Oh no! Okay. But I'm like, I don't know.
Sure. Okay.
So episode 10 opens with everyone there for Yuri's new grave, and they're all very sad. And I'm like, how many of you girls fucking knew her? She's like existed for like a week. But apparently everyone in the school knew and loved her, and they were very sad. Aww. But Didi, she's in solitary confinement. She's in fucking magical girl jail for a month.
Why?
Because she disobeyed orders.
So they put her in solitary for a month. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's pretty harsh.
And it shows her and she has those fucking like really like lots of lines, anime dead eyes, like no highlight, dead inside. And it's just like, damn.
It suddenly turned into the Shawshank Redemption. That's really fucking weird.
Yeah, this is fucking harsh.
Especially when, like, in the end, they rescind the order, so she wasn't technically doing anything wrong.
They make it sound like they gave her a light punishment. Like, people will be mad if they didn't do anything, so they felt like they had to do a little something to make it look like she wasn't just getting away with it. And it's like, this fucking solitary confinement for a month isn't just a slap on the wrist. What the fuck are you
That's not a light punishment, no. And also, like, this sort of show, you would expect it to be like she has to do, like, community service. Like, she has to go pick up rubbish or something. Not like...
Right?
Not just like a hardcore, solitary confinement.
No, they decided shit's serious now.
Yeah, followed by, like, hard labor on a chain gang or some shit.
And they let you visit her, like, one time. And she's just like, man, you seem really sad. And everybody's like, yep, I'm really sad. And she notices that Edie lost her hair charm that she's always wearing, which is like a clover that she makes a little side ponytail with.
Oh, okay.
Because it got like hit off in the fight and went into the ocean and it's gone. And she's like, oh no. And so that's the most important thing. And so everyone is going to get together and help look for it in the ocean.
Okay.
It's important and pure. And all the girls on her team are combining their skills because I guess that's a thing that you can do now. And they're all using them to try to help find the thing, but they're not finding it. But then one day, like 3 days into this search, because they're really fucking dedicated, Kaede spots a crumbled thing in the sand, but she doesn't tell anyone else about it. It's keep that in mind. Remember that shit's going to come back around.
Crumbled thing in sand. Okay.
And Yudi's having sad flashbacks of Yudi, and she's just thinking about her poor dead daughter girl. And then there's the eye catch for the commercials, and it's just like this goofy ass butt shot of the reporter girl, and it's just like a really funny, like, oh, the death, the suffering. Look at this butt.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
We still haven't watched Symphogear properly, but I can never forget the dramatic standing up to, like, say, I'm going to keep fighting from that girl while the camera is just right up her gooch. Like, it's fucking amazing.
The labia. So anyways, after the commercial break, they've been trying for a week, but they can't find that fucking clover charm. We have to talk about our plans. Let's go back to the bath. You gotta talk about it in the bath.
Just get a new one. How hard is it to just make another one?
It's very special, but that's a good thing to bring up because you see Kaede in her room and she's working on making a new one.
Aww.
So, it's pretty cute. And because when they were talking about it in the bath, like some other girls heard them and asked about it. So the next day, everyone shows up at the beach to help. And it's like, oh, how pure. And all working together, they're able to find it. They think.
Oh.
They think they found it. They're like, look, here's her perfect thing, like she always had, and it looks good. So Didi, when she gets out of fucking jail, everyone's there to present the gift to her. And she's like, where did you buy this? And they're like, what? And she's like, mine had a little crack on this one part. And they're like, what? And then Kaede comes clean and she's like, yeah, I actually found your actual charm. And she shows it and it's like a shriveled, burnt piece of shit.
No.
And so she just wanted to make a nice new one, but to make her think that it wasn't destroyed, to be a nice friend.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was a pretty cute thing to do.
Yeah.
So she had planted it so that everyone could think that they found it and helped. It's nice.
It's kind of funny because, like, you could have also made the argument that it's like, okay, you lost it, but here are all of your friends working together to make you a new one. You know, like that's something special about it too.
Yeah, because Riri hugs Kaede and she's like, both are the real one to me because now they're both really special.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's pretty cute.
Yeah.
But as she's going to hug Kaede, there's like one of those shots where like the butt cleft is super, you can see through the skirt. It's so touching. God damn it. And everyone's like sitcom laughing and smiling, but then like suddenly Lily just starts sobbing and she's just like, she died.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah. And Yu like very deadpan has like a very funny reaction of like, yes, cry, Didi. That is what you need right now. Continue to cry. Yes, this is important.
I don't emote, but I've read that crying is important. It's a thing you do.
Yes, beep boop. And then like everyone starts crying. I'm like, all right.
There are so few scenes in like anime where everyone's crying that it actually affects me. When it's not just like a really over the top thing. The only one I can think of that actually comes to mind is the second last episode of A Place Further Than the Universe.
It's a good fucking show.
It's the scene there where everyone's sobbing is just, oh, God.
Yeah.
It hurts so much. And I can't tell you what it's about because you have to see the show. But yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who thinks that we don't fucking like anything ever, we both love A Place Further Than the Universe. It's really good. You should watch it.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah. Like it gets described very, generally as like Moe girls go to Antarctica, but that's not quite what it is. There's a lot more thought put into that show than your average Moe girl show.
Yeah, the aesthetic is Moe, but the actual writing and stuff is much more grounded, and it's much more grounded than you would expect for a story about little girls going to Antarctica.
Yeah,
but it's great, and it's really good, and you have to watch it.
Yeah, maybe we should slushy that at some point.
Yeah, we need to do another positive slushy just to show we can. Anyway, Science Girl is talking with the headmaster about that sword. They were actually able to recover it from the huge that killed her friends. It's called a Deinslave, and they say it all the time, and I do like to say it. So it's a Deinslave. Okay. That's Yu's old weapon. They have it, and she's like, I was researching it, and someone else made a pact with the sword at the last minute. It seems like Misuzu like overrode Yu's pact that she had with her sword, and because that sword with Misuzu's pact went into the huge, it's like affecting the huge in general somehow.
Right. Hang on, as in that huge or huge in general?
Huge in general, because like then I guess because that huge went back to the hive.
Right. Okay.
And at some point, I think next episode they talk about how maybe Misuzu had the charisma skill too. And they're like, maybe her charisma skill actually affected Huge and not just people.
Yeah, right.
So it's like embedding them with her feels or some shit.
This is also a parallel between Yu's former partner and a current partner. They have similar powers.
Yeah, because I don't remember if this has come up before. I don't remember when. But every once in a while, they hint at this kind of conflict of it's hard for Yu to tell how many of her feelings for Riri are genuine and how much they're being affected by Riri having charisma. And it feels like they kind of drop that plot point, and I'm like, but that's a really like kind of compelling problem to have, and I want to hear more about that. I want you to see you deal more with that.
It's kind of sad in a way, the idea that this person just has a skill because it makes them really charismatic, and you can never know how much you actually like them. That's a really tricky thing to deal with. But I guess they didn't.
Yeah, I would have loved a scene where they actually like talk about it together, and then maybe she comes to realize like, look, who knows? There's so many different things that make you like a person. All I know is you make me happy, and that's all we need and stuff. And it could have been nice. Yeah. But too bad. So episode 11, the opening, the ghost girl is visiting Yu again, and she's like, "Oh, you're starting to see me again. I was gone for a few episodes there, but I bet you're starting to see me because you're feeling all guilty and shit about Yuri and stuff. And yeah, I'm probably not real, but sometimes things that you see affect you, even if they're not real. You better watch out." And I'm like, what? Okay, ghost girl, whatever. So Riri, people are noticing that she seems more mature ever since her daughter died and she was in solitary confinement for a while. And she seems much more serious now about stuff. And that's when they have the conversation on the bench about the dead girl and how it's tough when your comrades die, and they never expected to actually have to like go through that themselves. And so the chef bullied me.
To be fair, you were making them watch Assault Lily, so
Yeah, you know what? You win this round, Feen. And of course, everybody shows up to talk to her on the bench because everyone's just constantly hovering around ready to join the conversation.
I was going to say, like, guys, just a little bit of privacy.
No. I wanted to see them deal with this theme. So Yu has been like avoiding Riri lately for reasons, and that's when they cut to the student council talking about how Misuzu also had charisma, and they're like, maybe she had like a higher form of charisma that's been predicted, and we could call it La Place. And I'm like, why?
Like, why would you? Is that part of this council's job? Is just coming up with cool names for shit?
Yeah, but it's like, I assume it's referencing Laplace's demon, but it doesn't have fucking anything to do with it. Shut the fuck up. So all the girls are gathered and they're like, you know what, we should have a party. Or all the girls besides Yu and the gropiest girl, because she's sometimes not there. And they're like, we should have a ramune party because that's the best kind of party.
God.
And there's a scene where there's definitely a background error that for some reason I noticed immediately. It really jumped out to me because the green-haired girl is like up against a pole, like with her hands behind her head, kind of casually standing. But you see her in the first cut and both her feet are definitely on the ground. But you see her in the next cut and it's like her feet are up against the pole, but I think it's just that the background was drawn wrong such that, like they didn't know where the ground was supposed to be. So she's effectively kind of like hovering a bit.
Okay.
And it's really good. And I just happened to notice it and it brought me a lot of joy. It was good. So Science Girl has something to tell Yu. She calls her over and she's like, we need to talk about something. And that's when she tells her that, did you know that Misuzu overrode your pact on your charm and it might be affecting the huge? And Yu's like, what? So there's a scene where Dee Dee finally runs back into Yu and is trying to talk to her. And the Misuzu ghost is just kind of like commentating. She's like, oh, look at this Lily. Oh, I can see why you like her, blah, 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 blah. And it's just kind of funny to have her being like trolled by this ghost vision.
That's fair, yeah.
But then suddenly, pew pew, a bunch of missiles fire off from the huge nest, but like huge missiles. And they're going to circle around the whole Earth and come back and hit the school. Oh no. And they land like in a field and they make like this energy triangle and it's like summoning a big huge or something. And they're all like, oh no, it's time for the finale fight, I guess. And suddenly nobody besides Riri can use magic and no one can understand why. It's mysterious. And this is when so there's another flashback with Misuzu and Yu where Misuzu is like talking. It's very hard to tell whether she's talking about wanting to fuck or kill Yu.
Okay.
Because like Yu is like looking into a mirror sitting in a chair and Misuzu's behind her and she's like, don't you know I have these feelings for you that I try to control, but it's hard sometimes. And she like puts her hands around her neck.
Okay.
But later they make it pretty clear that the feelings that she was trying to push down were just loving Yu in a gay way. And it's just like, but also choky.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing there.
Yeah. It just seems like you've just thrown a couple of horny things together. And it's like,
Yeah. Look, I'm gay and I'm also super into choking. And I just, they're just two simultaneous things I'm dealing with. And Yu starts going like semi-berserker mode, but because her hair turns white when she's berserker, it just looks like she has some rad white highlights in her hair. They look kind of goofy. And Didi comes to her and she's like, it's gonna be fine. And Yu's like, the huge, it's Misuzu, or like has some of Misuzu in it. You can't beat her. And Didi's like, the huge isn't Misuzu, I'm gonna go be her, bye. That's not a thing.
just, hey, quickly, that's dumb, bye.
Yeah, not a thing. Yeah. So the three orbs combine and there's one big huge and it's so many shapes. And everyone wants to help Didi fight it, but they can't use their magic, so Didi has to fight it alone.
Oh, shit.
And then Yu somewhere senses her Dine Slafe activating back in the lab, and it's like, dun, 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 end of episode. Oh, and whenever their weapons do a thing, there's a really funny, like, very distinctive sound effect, so it's like, wow. But sometimes, like, the mixing is just really funny, because, like, something else will be going on, but then there's just a very distinctive, wow. It's, like, way louder than everything else.
Just saying "bawam" sounds like you're doing like porn bass or something.
No, it's like boom.
Okay.
But I don't know, it's just weirdly loud and distinctive, and it like kind of made me laugh by the end anytime the sound effect happened. So Didi's having to fight the thing alone, and Yu goes and retrieves her Dine Slafe. And so she's able to show up and protect Didi, but she's able to protect her in her lunatic trancer mode. Shit. And Didi's like, whoa, even though she's berserker mode, she protected me, I can't believe.
Wow.
And I guess because they're fighting it pretty good, suddenly the other girls are able to use their magic. They destroyed whatever something.
They're just so inspired.
Yeah. But conveniently, they also still can't get close to them because there's some other kind of barrier or something. I don't know. So it's time for them to use the Neunwelt tactic. They're going to pass them that magic ball. And so like the first 9 girls do it and they shoot it over there. But then the huge steals it in a way where it's like it's got this floating ring of 3D shapes and it kind of catches it. And it's just kind of like spinning around in the big floating ring of 3D shapes. And I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, fuck, it caught our sphere. That's ours. Give it back.
It's like dodgeball.
Yeah, but then it does create this kind of interesting animation situation where like the girls are running along that big ring of things and trying to get the sphere, and it's pretty well animated for a little bit there. Good job, Sakuga people. But they manage to knock the ball out, but they knock it far. Oh no, it's flying off again. And then more girls come in and they all give it all their magi. They're all contributing to the spirit bomb.
When you say other girls, is it just other girls from the school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, not like every random girl.
I was gonna say, like, where have they been for most of this show? Because it just seems like there's a whole school of people, and it's mostly just been this 9 or so fighting things.
Are you saying that there's a problem with this show where there's theoretically an entire school full of super fighters, but for some reason the same small group of people has to constantly solve every problem? Eyebrows. But I just like that they're like, everyone's keeping it going for us. They're keeping passing. And this is all just about the importance of maintaining rotation, about puff, puff, pass.
It is kind of funny that the big joint attack is like a game of catch.
Yeah, it's super, like, I don't know why they chose that. And so Didi and Yu catch the Magisphere that's full of everybody's power, and they hold it together, and it forms a big rainbow sword thing, and they blast the thing with a boom. And then a hot spring opened up, and it's time for everyone to have a bath. Like you do. As one does.
You know what's funny? I was sort of thinking I was going to say how this show has actually ended up having a bit more plot than I expected, and like it's not as bad as I was expecting either. But then at the same time, they just have to bring it back to baths at any opportunity.
What's funny is this is only halfway through the episode, so it's not like the happy finale bath. It's just like, we got to get a bath in real quick before we do more shit. We have a quota to maintain, goddammit.
Yeah. Like they realized they were one bath short. And like, fuck.
Yeah. But I do like there's one shot of the blonde girl chilling in this newly created hot spring, and there's a bunch of cats by her who just seem like they're enjoying the warmth of the bath. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good neckos. But anyway, now they're having a meeting, and apparently there's a super class huge that's super long and big under the ocean. And because, at least in the subs, they describe it as having such a length, I was just imagining Misuzu, but like very stretched out. That's the final boss. And they're like, for some reason, that latest battle used up a bunch of its magic, so this is the best chance that we have to just go kill the big one, and then I guess this hive will be dead or something. I don't know. But it's the final boss. Go down there and kill it. And Lily has to do it because they put a special program in the Dying Slave, because the Dying Slave is connected to the Huge now, and they're like, you need to stab it into the Huge. But for some reason, Didi has to do it because she has her charisma skill allows her to like... Oh, the only reason her magic wasn't killed by that aura was also because of her charisma skill. So it turns out charisma can just do fucking whatever.
It's a fucking great skill.
Yeah, it's the best one. And so they're like, you have to do it, Didi, because I guess your charisma lets you use anyone's weapon because it makes all the weapons love you too. And she's like, I'll do it because I want to make sure no one else ends up like Yuri. I did remember that girl that died. And the headmaster man is very moved by this. Oh, these strong girls. And, you know, of course, the Homura girl is like, I'm going to come too, just to be with you in general. So they fly down into they're like under the ocean, but it's not visually clear that they're under the ocean. It's very weird. But they fly down, they stab the big monster under the ocean, and it's like, brah! But that's all they have to do to defeat it. Is like, it doesn't attack them or fight them. They just stab this big dark shape under the ocean, and it go blah, and they beat it.
What a weird, half-assed anticlimactic ending.
Well, just you wait.
Oh.
Because Didi and Yu are suddenly in a bunch of very animated water holding hands, and it's very dramatic. And then suddenly they both pull their chest ribbons off of their uniforms. And then it forms a giant balloon that takes them up to safety.
Okay.
But for a moment there, it was just like, you get girls are just going to get naked and fuck you right?
Oh, I thought it was going to be like a ribbon exchange. I thought they were doing that.
Oh, no. Just underwater while the giant monster is dying. Very efficient.
Yeah, that's funny.
But it's very clear that like under the giant balloon that they're in their underwear. So you can show them holding hands in their underwear.
Oh, great. Cool. Yeah, that's sick.
Oh, yeah. So during this darkness and where they're in this big black ball, Didi has a dream sequence where she sees the Bebe Yudi one more time. And she's like, thank you for being a good mom friend or whatever. And she kind of like goes to kiss her forehead and Didi makes a little gasp that's way too fucking sexual somehow. Like it's just like a little like, and then the dream ends and I'm like, what the fuck?
There's some complicated feelings she has to sort out.
So anyways, the girls find them in the big black balloon and they pop in and so they're just embracing in their underwear on the beach and everyone's cheering them on.
God, what a weird image.
Yeah, Didi is telling Yu that she could sense from the Dying Slave that Misuzu only ever wanted to protect her. I could sense that from the sword. And they're like, so she didn't like have feelings that made the monsters want to go berserk. Like, why were they getting more berserk? And I don't know why still.
Just trust me, the sword told me it was all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because also while they were in the romantic big black ball, she was saying, like, I could sense that Misuzu, she loves you, but I don't understand why she thought those feelings were a bad thing. Ooh. So it does make it seem like her problem was just that she had romantic love or sexual love for Yu, and it's just like, why were you choking her?
and also just like, still this thing of, oh, a girl is gay. Oh no, how are we going to cope?
Yeah, it's just like she was like, just like, oh, these unacceptable feelings I have for you of romance. That's fucking stupid.
Shut up, go away.
But at least the main character is like, I don't understand what the problem was with that, so she's woke.
Yeah, but this is still one of those anime for men that has girls being not actually gay, just by acting really gay.
Well,
like
yeah, fucking, of course, this is a fucking trash show. Like, I need you to understand, I probably make the show sound better and more cohesive than it was because I'm only covering the plot points, which is like a third of a lot of episodes. Like,
what happens when they're not doing that? They're just talking crap, or what are they doing?
I mean, well, it's like, I'll say like, and they mentioned this in the bath, but that's actually like a 2-minute scene. And then it's like, they established this, but that's a 5 minutes sitting around talking.
Right.
Scene.
Okay. It takes a long time to get anything done.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So they're on the beach embracing in their underwear and then they pan out to a giant skeleton. Okay. And that's a thing.
Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if the idea was that Misuzu somehow became a giant woman or if she like affected the Huge so much that they were starting to look like a person or if Huge are secretly like kind of people. I don't know what the idea was.
It's kind of funny, just like, show, I don't know what you're getting at.
Yeah. It's like there's many things I could understand this being, but you need to tell me which one, but they're not. They won't. It's time to play credits and show all the characters fucking around and stuff.
Oh, okay. So that's it.
No, because there's a stinger.
Oh, shit.
You see the Dying Slave in the floor of the ocean, just kind of stabbed in. But then the light that on its hilt comes on. It's activated. The end. Ooh, season 2. We'll really find out what the fuck.
Wow. Okay. So where does this go in the rankings of crappy post-Madoka Mahas we've watched?
It's hard because, like, again, halfway through the show, I was just like, how is this show so fucking boring despite being, like, completely nonsense trash? But then by the end, like, it had a few things that were, like, almost interesting going on.
Yeah.
And I think in a very Ruby way, like the way that fans of Ruby will be like, this is good because it makes me imagine good things that are probably going on with these characters or could be going on with these characters. I started to feel some of that,
Yeah, no, I totally got that as well. Like, some of these ideas weren't bad and there was some intriguing stuff going on in places. Like, nothing amazing, but like, for what I was expecting from this show, that was a lot more.
Yeah, so by the end I was like, oh man, if I could like, rework a few things, like really make this about the whole problem with the charisma and whatnot and blah, 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 then it kind of piques my interest, but it's still a fucking bad show and it's still stupid and there's still a lot of dumbass shots and many thigh shots and it's very silly.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's still like, it's still a stupid, horny show.
Yeah, it's still, don't get me wrong, it's a bad show. So, it's hard to say with all these bad mahos because they all have such different flavors of crimes. How could you possibly compare them?
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I should give a little update on one of the bad mahos we watched. Because I got a very slight update on Magical Girl Spec Ops Oscar. The manga has wrapped up. And I'm not going to read it because I've been warned by people who have read it that I definitely shouldn't because it doesn't get better. It gets a lot worse. But the ending is kind of amazing. So you remember her civilian glasses Wooby friend who got PTSD for a while? Mm-hmm. So she gets turned into a weapon of mass destruction somehow and blows up. And everyone's sad. But then Oscar gets an email from her old boss who turned evil. But I think the email's from before she was evil. And this woman explains to her that she actually has the power to resurrect people, like bring them back from the dead.
That Oscar does, right?
Oscar does, yeah. It's almost entirely because her name is Rapture. That's like, just because she was given that name, now she has the power of resurrection. So she brings her Weeby friend back to life and it's all good. Also, she is now dating War Nurse.
Wow, progressive.
Now, just so you're not worried about War Nurse's sex life, War Nurse still has some girl just trapped in a torture dungeon and she still goes down and tortures her on the reg. And that's the end of the show.
Feen, I don't appreciate you judging this important rep, okay? This is good food.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Ask Lily is got nothing on Oscar.
Yeah.
Very different sort of crap.
Also, I will forever think you're saying Oscar every time you say Oscar.
I know, I'm sorry. Stupid accents.
And then I just imagine Oscar and, oh no, now he's in this horrible world. Actually, he's already in a horrible
I was going to say, he was getting tortured a lot. Like,
this fucking kid just can't catch a break.
But yeah, Ask Lily. I guess it is, on the one hand, I'm happy that the guy from Pleiades is, getting paid. But on the other hand, that's a shame.
Hey, it's like, I keep forgetting that I want to recommend good shows at the end of our bad reviews.
Oh, yeah.
We did already recommend A Place Further Than the Universe, but even though we've already talked about it on the podcast, if you haven't watched it, you should watch fucking Subaru, Wish Upon a Pleiades. Yeah. It's by the same writer, but way fucking better.
Yeah, it is. Also, like, it's one of those rare situations where, like, often when you have dudes writing magical girl shows, it doesn't go well. Or it's kind of like this.
Yeah.
But Pleiades is one of those rare ones where it's like, it's a magical girl show written by a dude. But, I mean, aside from the eye catchers, it's like all the characters are well drawn out and thoughtful.
Yeah. And he has a lot of thoughts about space.
Yeah. If you just want to watch a magical girl show where this dude just geeks out about space, that's a show for you.
It's fucking good. But yeah, Assault Lily, not the same.
So, yeah.
All right. Have a nice anime, everybody, or a bad anime, whatever you feel like.
Bye, guys.